Some news came in this week that made me a bit sad, and that's that former Green Bay Packers cornerback Jaire Alexander has decided to step away from football at just 28 years old. The Philadelphia Eagles placed Jaire on the reserve retired list as he focuses on getting physically and mentally right after struggling to stay healthy following an offseason knee surgery. It's been a rough year for Jaire, who was released by the Packers after 7 seasons with the team this offseason before being picked up by the Ravens. He played in just 2 games for Baltimore before being traded to Philly, but didn't make an appearance for the Eagles before making the decision to step away. Instead of dwelling on the news, I wanted to take a step back and look at the iconic career that Jaire had in Green Bay, both as a player and personality.
To Texas.
I'm just here to tell you, Pack is back.
You heard it from a fan right here. Pack is back.
My first exposure to Jaire was back in his college days at Louisville. This lengthy, twitchy cornerback was quickly climbing up draft boards, but it was this celebration after an incompletion on 4th down against Wake Forest that had me dying to know more about him. Jaire skyrocketed up draft boards, and by the time the 2018 draft came around, the Packers took him with the 18th overall pick, and his reaction said everything about the kind of player that Green Bay was getting. It didn't take long for Jaire to hit the ground running, and by his 3rd NFL season, he was both a Pro Bowler and second-team All-Pro after that 2020 season. Over the course of his 7-year Packers career, Jaire would earn a pair of Pro Bowl and All-Pro selections with 287 tackles, 70 pass breakups, 12 interceptions, and 3 forced fumbles. One of Jaire's most iconic plays came against the Minnesota Vikings in 2020, sacking Kirk Cousins in the end zone for a safety. And the most on-brand part about it was that Jaire admitted after the game that he wasn't even supposed to blitz on the play. Beyond the play on the field, it was Jaire's personality that made him such a cult-like figure in Green Bay. Whether it was hitting the gritty on Justin Jefferson after an incompletion, or interviews like this one with Pam Oliver on Christmas Day following a win over the Miami Dolphins.
Walk us through that play, what happened and how'd you grab it?
Oh, man, that's easy. So I'm just lining up. I seen number 10 motion over. Hey, Jones. Here. I seen number 10 coming across the field. I said, oh, snap, he fast. So I bagged off. When I bagged off, I seen him coming. He ran right in front of me. I was like, wow, is he really overthrowing it? Took it down the sideline, turned up with my guys, gave the football to a little kid wearing 23.
I love it.
Jaire was even active in the community off the field, from hosting goat yoga at the Children's Museum of Green Bay to starting the Jaire Alexander Foundation as a way to empower kids through education, mentorship, and wellness. I plan on donating to the Jaire Alexander Foundation immediately following this video, and I highly encourage you to do so as well. I'll provide a link to his foundation in the episode description. Jaire's time in Green Bay may have ended on a down note, but I hope this video reminds Packers fans of just how special this former All-Pro corner was. So let's break down some of the film from Jaire's 2022 season to remind fans of just how special this guy was in today's throwback episode of Best Available. Thank you so much for watching today's episode of Best Available. Make sure that you are subscribed on YouTube and follow us on socials at Best Available YT. If you want to support the channel, consider becoming a member. I'll leave a link to that alongside the foundation link for Jaire's foundation. I'm going to go ahead and dive into the film right now of Jaire just to remind you guys, again, this was a different type of corner. So many great plays from this season we could go into, but I whittled it down to 9 to kind of show a little bit of everything as far as the game that Jaire was able to play at the peak of his career. We have him at the top of the screen, and he's just going to follow a crossing route across the field, and he's going to follow it, better than the receiver himself. So as soon as this route happens on this in breaker, Jaire's just going to follow this guy the whole way, and I want you to pay attention to the effort of both of these guys. One of these guys is going to keep running full speed, and the other's going to let up. And you can see, but by that second of letting up, the Jaire is able to, close that gap, break all the way across the field. And that effort is what gets him in position to get a pick on Justin Fields. Just a tremendous effort play. And this is one of those examples of effort can take you far in the league. Because when the other guy isn't giving it 100% until the whistle, you can literally see this receiver is just letting up and kind of jogging through the route. But Jaire, going full speed that whole way is able to undercut it, and it's a big game-changing play in the moment for Jaire and the Packers. One of the things I don't think Jaire gets enough credit for from his time in the NFL was he was an extremely instinctive cornerback. Yes, he was physically talented and all of that, but he's going to diagnose a screen from the outside corner alignment, which is pretty tough to do. So he's covering the flat here. He's covering the flat. Pretty quickly sees that all these linemen are trying to get out in space and breaks down on it. And thank goodness he does, because, if he's not there to make this play on Saquon, this could be a potentially big play. Saquon's bobble doesn't help either, but it's those kind of instincts from Jaire that just made him so special to snuff out something like this where, by all accounts, an outside corner from, the wide side of the field shouldn't be the guy immediately meeting the running back on a screen, but that's just the kind of player that Jaire was. Jaire was also one of those corners where it didn't seem to matter what kind of position you're putting him in, what kind of matchup he had, what kind of route he was going against. When he was in man coverage, he was going to be sticky. And here we are going against, I believe it's a rookie, Garrett Wilson. And Wilson's going to have this outside release into a comeback. Jaire doesn't get displaced at all on that route stem, right? Like, a lot of receivers get so panicky by this outside release that they start, completely going full speed. And by the time this receiver breaks down, we're going to have like all this space, right? Instead with Jaire, he is just so sticky. He doesn't even get phased. Like his movement isn't, it's effortless. He gears down so well with the receiver and sticks to him the whole way. And then he attacks the catch point for the pass breakup. And then in classic Jaire fashion, he's going to talk a little afterwards because that's just the kind of player he was. A little shove at the end too. Like, he was just wired a different way than a lot of these cats. And, it shows throughout his tape, throughout his career in Green Bay. It seems like nowadays, all these corners are just outstanding at attacking the catch point right as the receiver gets the ball in their hands. It wasn't as common, I think, a few years ago. I really feel that way. But Jaire was excellent at it. He's at the top of the screen. I just circled him. He's going to break down on this route here. And his instincts to know that it's coming and to break down on it, that part's impressive. But then he even slows himself up to time this. I'll play this in full. His ability to slow up to make sure he times the catch point. He waits that just a split second to avoid, a DPI call. And then you can see he just kind of like rips at the ball as soon as it comes that way to force that drop. That's just a crucial play to prevent a first down. It's just the ability to trigger downhill, let alone pause and stop yourself for that split second to avoid the penalty is just another one of those examples of just, how locked in he was this season. We've talked about this before on this channel, but the sideline is your friend as a cornerback, especially against an outside release. And I think Jaire does such a great job on this route of feeling that outside release and so effortlessly just forcing the receiver to drift towards the sideline and make this throwing window, that much smaller. And, the reason why we talk about making that sideline your friend, if this receiver is just able to restack and get up here, the quarterback can throw in all of this space, right? But if we're forcing him to stack here and the cornerback's on this side, there's just much less space to try and throw the receiver open. So you can see Jaire gets into that trail technique. He can feel the receiver behind him. But the path that Jaire is taking is kind of forcing that issue. Knowing that this receiver wants outside leverage, he is just drifting to the sideline without even making contact, forcing this receiver to keep getting closer and closer. And you can see by the time here, very little room to the sideline for the quarterback to throw. And then Jaire is just in perfect position the whole way to get that pass breakup. This was right before the end of the half, too. They're clearly going for the end zone. That is just such great technique from a corner as well. On one of these exact plays, he feels it the whole way. He just had such natural feel and instincts, but along with that, really underappreciated technique for such a gifted corner. This might have been the most impressive play from Jaire all year. Those instincts really came into play. So we have this almost cover three look, bail technique here, safety over the top, looks like bail technique here. So in theory, deep third responsibilities for Jaire, if I'm seeing this correctly. And what looks like is we have crossers, right? Now, this receiver is going to turn this into a corner, but the whole purpose of this play is to scheme this wide receiver open. Jaire's instincts to break off of his deep zone responsibilities right there, see the crosser coming, and just jump it, be an instinctive player. If you watch it in full time, just the reaction time of him, it's a play action deep shot, and he just seems to know where the ball's planning to go, and makes a big play, gets a big return. It was such a crucial play in this game, and just one man like it doesn't get much better from a guy like this. There's so many plays throughout his time in Green Bay where he just had the best instincts on the field and knew where the ball was trying to go, and then baiting quarterbacks to take those shots. This is why he was an All-Pro this season. It was just plays like this where he's almost thinking about what the quarterback's doing before the quarterback even knows what he's doing. I know it didn't show up all the time for Jaire, but man, this guy could play really physically as well. We've got him at the top of the screen, and he's just going to react to this pre-snap motion to get into a press alignment, knowing that a now screen is coming to Chase Claypool. And he does that. He gets to the ball. He gets to the receiver right as the ball's getting there for a big tackle for loss. I mean, that's like a 4 or 5 yard loss just because he knew it was coming. Like, this was a guy that was always so well prepared and knew the kind of tendencies the team wanted to run. So when he reads this pre-snap motion out of this look and this stacked alignment, he has a pretty good idea that one of these now screens is coming, blows it up with almost no effort, because by the time he's reacting to it before the other receiver that's supposed to be blocking can even move. It's just one of those plays that's just a reminder of just how, prepared, instinctive, explosive, and underappreciated physicality that Jaire had. This just felt like one of those games where Jaire was locked in the whole time because this receiver's really going to push vertically. Now, granted, you really want, especially your outside receivers, to always push every route vertically like you're running a go ball to maximize your separation, especially when physically you're not really a flanker or a slot that can, effectively get in and out of breaks. You really want to push these vertical balls so that you can maximize any potential separation on your route. Jaire does not get phased by that verticality at all. You can just see how patient he is in his back pedal, how comfortable he is. He flips his hips and then has no issue he's breaking on this ball better than the receiver is, undercuts it, and just he really does trust his instincts to when to break down on a football, get underneath that receiver, and come away with another interception on the year. I believe he had 5 this season. Just an outstanding year for him, and it's just all this technique and preparation and understanding of where the ball's going is just, by this time in his career, he really was, one of the top 3, 4, 5 corners in the league when healthy. Jaire loved going against Justin Jefferson. This seemed to be his favorite matchup every year, and I always thought he did a pretty damn good job against, one of the best wide receivers in football. He just really stepped up to that challenge, and this is a great example of that. We're going to get a back shoulder throw, that outside release, Jaire stacking over him. Back shoulders, especially with good timing, are almost unguardable, and I don't know how Jaire sticks to this, is able to stay in phase just enough. Maybe it's a little hold or a little grabby, but the ability to not get totally thrown off by this and still attack the catch point. And then, of course, he hits the gritty on him. He did not like this guy. It was just one of those matchups for him. You always knew he was going to take it personally. You always knew he was going to give his best. And, sometimes Jefferson wasn't going to get the best of him. But, for what was supposed to be such a huge mismatch going against this superstar receiver, it was always cool to see Jaire really, try and step up and make plays in those big games. And, the Packers, really benefited from it throughout Jaire's career. We've never really done a throwback episode before. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments if you want to see more of these. Something I'd definitely consider doing more of in the offseason especially. We'll be back next week. There's a whole slate of games to be played. So many ideas for what we're going to do next. But really appreciate you watching. If you made it this far, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. We will see you again on Monday. Thank you so much for watching. Best available.